Most men spend their lives giving compliments that sound polite but leave no real impression. Words like beautiful, gorgeous, or you look amazing seem harmless enough. They feel respectful and safe. But think about it for a moment. Curious. If a woman has already heard those same lines hundreds of times from men she barely remembers, why would your version suddenly feel meaningful? The truth is, it usually doesn't. Real attraction rarely begins with simple flattery. It begins when something deeper is stirred inside her mind and emotions. Sometimes it even touches something physical. That kind of reaction doesn't come from polished praise. It comes from words that slip past her defenses and make her feel noticed in a way she didn't expect. Thoughtful. The kind of words that stay with her long after the moment ends. This isn't about sweet talk, it's about influence. And today on Intrigue, we're exploring compliments most men never dare to say. Not because they're rude, but because they carry weight. They spark curiosity, tension, and memory. The first mistake most men make is relying on the obvious compliment. Saying you're beautiful feels natural. It seems polite, maybe even romantic. But the reality is that it rarely lands the way men hope. She's heard it in messages from strangers, from men she barely respected, from conversations she forgot the next day. Sighs. When a compliment sounds predictable, it fades instantly. It stays on the surface, and surface-level praise rarely creates real attraction. When you say she's beautiful, you're only repeating what she already knows from a mirror. You're not offering anything new. Instead, the impact comes when you talk about the effect she has on you. For example, instead of simply describing her looks, you might say something like, "There's something dangerous about the way she looks at you." Curious. That small shift changes everything. Suddenly, it's not just admiration. There's tension, curiosity, and shared energy in the moment. Another powerful shift happens when you stop focusing only on appearance and start acknowledging the experience of being around her. Thoughtful. You might say you can't decide whether she feels like a mystery you want to understand or something you'd rather get lost in. Notice how that moves the focus away from her looks and toward the dynamic between you. It transforms a flat compliment into something that feels alive. Psychologically, this matters because women don't fall for praise alone. Curious. They respond when they feel genuinely felt, when someone notices something about them other men never bother to express. You can take it even further by recognizing how she carries herself rather than just how she looks. Saying something like she carries her beauty as if she doesn't need it can be surprisingly powerful. Thoughtful. Now, you're not just noticing her appearance. You're noticing the attitude behind it, the confidence, the quiet way she holds it without trying too hard. Pause. That kind of observation cuts through the layers of style, makeup, and presentation and reaches the person underneath. And that's where compliments begin to carry real weight. Many men also separate compliments into two extremes. They either focus on the body or they focus on personality. One moment they're saying she looks incredible in a dress, the next they're telling her she's smart or interesting, but rarely do they combine both in a single moment. Yet attraction deepens when both are felt together. A woman doesn't want to feel only desired. She also wants to feel understood. Thoughtful. When those two feelings meet, curiosity grows stronger. You might say something like she moves with the confidence of someone who knows exactly what she's doing, and admit that it's hard not to notice. The first part speaks to her awareness and presence. The second part hints at the effect it has on you. Curious. Together, they create both mental connection and physical tension. Sometimes the most memorable compliments come from noticing her composure or the quiet energy she carries. For instance, telling her that the calm way she sits with so much confidence is surprisingly distracting, shifts the focus away from appearance and toward presence. Thoughtful. It tells her that the way she exists in a room actually changes the atmosphere around her. That's far more intriguing than simply calling her attractive. Another overlooked truth is that many women want to feel seen as real, not perfect. Compliments about kindness or sweetness can feel safe, but they're also predictable. Real people have edges, intensity, and complexity. Thoughtful. When you acknowledge that, it creates a completely different dynamic. Saying something like there's a dangerous side to her energy that makes you unsure whether to step closer or keep your distance recognizes that complexity. Instead of placing her on a pedestal, you're acknowledging depth. Curious. And for many people, being seen in that honest way is far more compelling than hearing another polished compliment. The same principle applies when you notice something she rarely admits about herself. Maybe she appears calm and controlled, but you sense a deeper intensity beneath it. Mentioning that quiet hunger or determination can feel surprisingly validating. It shows that you're paying attention to more than the surface. And when someone feels understood on that level, it leaves a lasting impression. There's also a major difference between making someone feel desired and making them feel seen. Thoughtful. Desire is common. Many women hear it everywhere, whether online or in everyday interactions. But being seen is rare. When you recognize how someone reads a room, carries themselves, or hides certain emotions behind composure, you're showing genuine awareness. Sincere. That kind of observation feels personal. It tells her you're noticing details most people overlook. Confidence also plays a role in how these words land. Compliments lose their impact when they're delivered constantly or with the hope of getting approval in return. When someone gives praise too often, the words start to feel empty. But when compliments are rare and thoughtful, they carry more meaning. Thoughtful, saying less can actually make your words stronger. A single genuine observation, delivered calmly after you've truly noticed something about her, can stay with her far longer than a dozen casual compliments. Another interesting shift happens when a compliment also carries a small challenge. Instead of simply praising a trait, you acknowledge it while questioning it slightly. Curious. For example, if someone says they never let people get too close, you might respond by wondering whether those walls ever make it harder for others to see the real person behind them. That kind of comment doesn't attack. Thoughtful, it simply invites reflection, and that reflection often creates deeper conversation. Ultimately, the compliments that stay in someone's mind are the ones that feel honest, rare, and specific. They aren't rehearsed lines. They're observations that show you're present enough to notice what others miss. Thoughtful. When words come from that place, they don't feel like flattery at all. They feel like insight. Pause. And insight has a way of lingering in someone's thoughts long after the conversation ends. So the real question isn't how many compliments you give. It's whether the ones you offer actually reveal something meaningful. Because the moment someone feels truly seen rather than simply praised, the entire interaction changes. Thoughtful. And sometimes that single moment of recognition is what makes someone remember you long after you've walked away.